I was at City Hall waiting for my fiancée to get our marriage license when a strange voice suddenly spoke from behind me. "Excuse me, I've been watching you from over there for a while. This is forward of me, but are you in a rush to get married? If so, would you consider me?" I turned to look at the strange woman, completely stunned. My mind flashed back to the iMessage I had just received from our housekeeper's son. "Ethan, Bianca is taking care of me while I have a fever, so she might not make it over there for a bit. She said you can get the license anytime, but she would never abandon me when I'm sick." He even attached a photo. In the photo, Bianca was meticulously feeding Kevin his medicine. So I turned back to the woman and said, "All right, let's go get our license right now." Walking out of City Hall, I stared at the marriage certificate in my hand, my mind a complete blank. I was actually married, and to a complete stranger I had just met. The certificate was still warm in my hand. The name on it read Chloe Sterling, but that was all I knew about her. "When's the wedding? I'd like to have it soon." The strikingly beautiful woman stood beside me, her gaze fixed intently on mine. I thought for a moment, 2 weeks from now. I need some time to prepare. Chloe's lips curved into a slight smile, a hint of warmth appearing in her deep, dark eyes. "All right, you don't have to worry about a thing for the wedding. Just be there to pick me up on the day." I gave a small smile and nodded. "I'm staying with the White family at the Azure Heights. I'll be waiting for you to tell me where to go." Her lips parted as if to say something more, but her phone rang. A Rolls-Royce pulled up to the curb. "I'm sorry, something's come up. I have to go." After I gave her a nod of understanding, Chloe got into the car and departed. Her car drove off, shrinking into a black dot before disappearing from view. Just then, 3 very different luxury cars pulled up in front of me. The doors opened, and out stepped the 3 sisters, each with a unique personality but all equally stunning. The eldest, Bianca, was the first one out. She strode toward me on her long legs and casually adjusted her gold-rimmed glasses. "Kevin has a fever. I was busy taking care of him, so I couldn't make our appointment." The second sister, Bella, followed right behind, looking elegant and poised in a black trench coat. "You still haven't decided which of the 3 of us you want to marry, have you? This works out perfectly. We can just put off the wedding until next year." The youngest, Blair, with her fiery personality, chimed in, "Why even next year? Let's push it back a few years. Give him plenty of time to think." But I just shook my head, pulled the marriage certificate from my bag, and smiled. "I won't be choosing between any of you, because I'm already married." At my words, all 3 of them froze. A flicker of disbelief crossed their faces, their immediate reaction being that I was lying. Bianca's cool eyes narrowed, her brow furrowing slightly. "Ethan, are you just saying this to scare us because we missed our appointment to take care of Kevin?" The smile in Bella's eyes vanished. "Kevin saved our lives in that car accident. That's why we look after him. You know you're the only one we love. You're a Collins. Can't you just let him have this?" Blair tugged at her collar, her delicate features twisting into a fierce expression. "Everyone in New York City knows you belong to the 3 of us. Who would dare marry you besides us? Who? Do they have a death wish? Ethan, since when did you learn how to forge marriage certificates?" With that, she snatched the marriage certificate from my hand. A moment later, with a series of sharp rips, the small red booklet was torn to shreds. She tossed the pieces into the air, and they fluttered to the ground like confetti. I stared at her in disbelief. I opened my mouth to speak but forced myself to hold back my anger. Today was my wedding day. I wasn't going to let myself get angry. Besides, it was just a piece of paper. We could always get a replacement, so I simply looked at them with a calm expression. Tearing up the certificate doesn't change the fact that we're married. The wedding is in 2 weeks. You're welcome to come. The 3 of them exchanged a look, each seeing the same disbelief in the other's eyes. True sisters, they were all thinking the same thing. They were convinced I was just playing hard to get. Bella stepped forward, her voice icy. "This little game of yours is getting old. I'm not playing a game." "All right, fine, you're not playing. Whatever you say." Blair replied dismissively, lying about being married. "I can't wait to see how you talk your way out of this in 2 weeks. Bianca frowned and was about to speak when her phone rang shrilly. When she answered, Kevin's weak, tearful voice came through the speaker. "Bianca, Bella, Blair, where did you all go? I feel awful." Hearing his voice, the expressions on all 3 sisters changed instantly, replaced by obvious panic. Bianca's tone softened immediately. "Kevin, I just stepped out to get you that soup you love from your favorite place. I'll be right back with you." "Don't worry, Kevin. I'm coming right back." Kevin, hang on. The second they hung up, all three got into their separate cars, started the engines, and sped off toward home. Not one of them thought to give me a ride. Just like that, I was left standing there all alone. The cold wind whipped my hair across my face, blurring my vision. Watching the three cars speed away, I gave a wry smile, feeling a strange sense of loss. Even now, I still don't understand how things between me and the three sisters got to this point. When I was 7, my parents died in an accident. I was taken in by the Whites, close family friends who had arranged for me to marry one of their daughters since we were children. The day I first arrived at the Whites' mansion, I was dressed in a perfectly tailored little suit, the very picture of a refined young gentleman. All three White sisters fell for me at the same time. The sisters fought over me constantly, arguing from that first day about which one of them would be my wife. Mr. and Mrs. White thought it was just a childish phase, but the sisters continued to fight over me as we grew up. They treated me like a priceless treasure, coddling me and protecting me from everything. If any other girl even dared to approach me or hand me a note, the three of them would practically go to war. As they grew older, Bianca became the heir to the family corporation, Bella became a world-famous movie star, and Blair became a legendary esports champion. Despite their different personalities, they were all unshakably determined to be with me, and none of them would ever back down. Their parents, at a loss, finally made a pact. On my 22nd birthday, I would have to choose one of them to marry. Today is my 22nd birthday. I showed up, but the three sisters who had once sworn they couldn't live without me all stood me up, all because of a guy named Kevin. He was the son of the Whites' new housekeeper. From the moment he moved in, his intentions were clear. He spent all his time engineering chance encounters to try and win over the sisters. However, the sisters had seen this kind of act too many times before and weren't impressed. Just as they had with other boys, they coldly dismissed him as a manipulative nice guy and avoided him at all costs. That is, until the car accident. Kevin had thrown himself in front of the three of them without a moment's hesitation. They were completely unharmed, but he was hit by the car and nearly died. After that, the sisters' attitude toward him changed completely. Their affection slowly shifted to Kevin, and for his sake, they began to hurt me time and time again. When Kevin sprained his ankle, they rushed to his side, leaving me alone on a remote hiking trail. When Kevin casually mentioned wanting to go to an amusement park, they abandoned me while I was sick with a high fever to take him instead. When Kevin and I both fell into the lake, all three of them chose to save him. And even today, on the day we were supposed to get married, they all stood me up. The three women who once swore they would marry only me, who said they couldn't live without me, none of them showed up. For years, everyone in our social circle knew how passionately the White sisters loved me. Now that I'd been cast aside by all three of them, if word got out, it would be a complete humiliation for the Collins family. To protect my family's reputation, I married the first person I could find. The engagement was broken. From now on, I had nothing to do with the three sisters. I picked up the shredded pieces of my marriage certificate, hailed a cab, and returned to the Whites' mansion. As soon as I walked in the door, I saw Bianca, Bella, and Blair all crowded into Kevin's room. The three tall, leggy women stood by his bed, making the spacious room feel cramped. I watched them fuss over Kevin with anxious, worried expressions and forced a tight smile. That room used to be mine. It was the best one in the house, right next to theirs. They had poured their hearts into decorating it for me, making it incredibly cozy. They would bring me all the best food and newest gadgets. Back then, they would say with so much love, "Ethan is our little prince. He deserves the very best of everything." And I believed them. But after Kevin got hurt in the accident for them, they made me move to a guest room, saying he was injured and needed the better room to recover. From that moment, I knew I was no longer their prince. I managed a weak smile and went back to my guest room. The next morning, I was woken by the loud and incessant sound of party poppers from downstairs. Startled awake, I went downstairs to find the entire living room piled high with beautifully wrapped gifts. Kevin stood in the center, surrounded by the three sisters, a huge smile on his face. Bianca's expression was soft as she handed him the keys to a sports car. "Kevin, congratulations on feeling better. This is that car you said you liked. I bought it for you." Bella produced a small protective charm. "I went to St. Patrick's Cathedral to get this blessed for you. It was so crowded, and I ran into a lot of fans, but I managed to get it. They say it's very powerful." Blair held out a trophy, grinning. "See? I won the tournament and brought this straight to you. Kevin, if I could give you all my luck and good fortune, I would. I wish you a lifetime of peace and happiness." The three of them piled the gifts into Kevin's arms until he could barely hold them all. His eyes welled up with tears of excitement. You guys, you shouldn't have. Giving me all this for just getting over a cold. You treat me so well, I don't know what to say. The smile on his face was unstoppable. Then he saw me coming down the stairs and asked with feigned innocence, Ethan, it was your birthday yesterday. What did Bianca and the others get for you? I'm so curious. Can you show me? I instinctively clenched my fists and said nothing. Only then did it seem to dawn on Bianca, Bella, and Blair that yesterday was my 22nd birthday, and they hadn't gotten me a single thing. Bianca stepped forward and held out a black credit card. I forgot because Kevin was sick yesterday. I'll make it up to you. Go buy yourself whatever you want. The other two offered their cards as well, but I made no move to take them. I just said flatly, there's no need to make up for a forgotten gift. Hearing this, all three of them looked surprised. They had been prepared to coax and soothe me, but my calm indifference seemed to throw them off completely. But then they remembered my lie about getting married, and they instantly concluded this was just me being difficult again. If you don't want it, fine. We won't bother. Just don't regret it later. As they said this, they watched my reaction closely, but my expression remained placid. Don't worry, I said coolly. I won't. That evening, Mr. and Mrs. White returned from a business trip abroad. At the family dinner, Kevin, as the housekeeper's son, was about to head to the kitchen with his mother, but Blair grabbed his arm and pushed him into the seat beside her. There are enough people in the kitchen. You sit here and eat with us. Kevin looked uncomfortable and tried to get up, but Bianca and Bella both put a hand on his arm, motioning for him to stay seated. Seeing this, Mr. and Mrs. White looked displeased, but they didn't say anything. Mrs. White deliberately ignored her daughters and looked at me with a warm smile. Ethan, yesterday was your birthday, so who did you finally choose? I've already started looking at wedding venues. An occasion this happy deserves a huge celebration. We won't let you be treated unfairly. As soon as she said this, the three sisters went silent, and a hush fell over the dinner table. Then, Bianca's low, resonant voice broke the silence. Kevin had a fever yesterday. I didn't go. I was busy taking care of Kevin, so I didn't go either, Bella added lazily, as if it were no big deal. Her voice was languid, clearly unconcerned. Blair chimed in as well. I was busy too. Besides, Ethan hasn't made his choice yet. We can talk about the wedding later. Each of their statements fueled Mr. and Mrs. White's growing anger. Just as they were about to lose their tempers, I received an iMessage from Chloe with a picture of a ring. Would this be all right for our wedding ring? If you don't like it, I can take you to choose another one. The ring in the photo featured a heart-shaped pink diamond, surrounded by countless smaller diamonds. It was absolutely breathtaking. I smiled and handed my phone to Mr. and Mrs. White. Mr. and Mrs. White, I'm already married. The wedding is in 2 weeks. Look, she sent me a picture of the ring. I love it. At my words, the atmosphere in the room froze. For a moment, no one could believe what they were hearing. Mr. and Mrs. White were so shocked they could barely form a coherent sentence. After a long pause, they finally stammered, Ethan, is this real? I was about to say it is, but Bianca cut me off, her face grim. That's enough. It's one thing to play games with us, but are you really going to pull this stunt in front of our parents? The usual smile on Bella's face vanished. Ethan, this joke has gone on long enough. It's not funny anymore. Blair impatiently slammed her chopsticks down. You've said you're married twice now, but how is that possible? You still have that love letter in your drawer, the one for. Hearing this, Bianca and Bella's expressions changed instantly. They lost their composure and grabbed her arm. What love letter? Who is it for? Blair shook them off, looking away awkwardly. I didn't open it. I didn't dare. How should I know? I let out a self-deprecating laugh. I had written a love letter. There was one of them I had truly loved, and before I went to City Hall yesterday, I had already made my choice. But now there was no point in saying it. I pursed my lips, about to speak, when Kevin, who had been quiet all this time, suddenly exclaimed, Ethan, you just found that picture online, didn't you? I've seen that ring in a magazine. It's one of a kind, the only one in the world. It's priceless. Who could you have possibly married that could afford that? I froze, my mind going blank. I had no idea the ring was that expensive. As for who Chloe was, I had no idea, and I didn't know how to explain it. Just as I was about to speak, Mrs. Carter brought a tureen of hot soup to the table. She exchanged a look with Kevin and gave an almost imperceptible nod. Then, pretending her hand slipped, she lost her grip, and the entire tureen of hot soup came spilling out. Watch out! Bianca, Bella, and Blair all instantly moved to shield Kevin, terrified a single drop might touch him. No one moved to protect me. The scalding soup poured all over me. I gasped in pain, my skin instantly turning red as tears welled up in my eyes. Seeing the triumphant look in Mrs. Carter's eyes, I immediately understood. You did that on purpose, I said, my voice trembling. Hearing this, Mrs. Carter first looked startled, then burst into tears. Mr. Collins, what are you saying? How could I do something like that on purpose? I know it's my fault you got burned, but you can't accuse me of such a thing. Seeing his mother being insulted, Kevin rushed out from behind the sisters and stood protectively in front of her, his own eyes filling with tears. Ethan, my mother and I may not have money, but we have our dignity. We won't stand here and be insulted like this. If that's what you think, then we'll just leave. He turned, took his mother's hand, and the two of them started to walk out. Watching them leave, Bianca turned to me, her eyes filled with disapproval. Ethan, Mrs. Carter worked so hard for us. It was an accident and you accuse her of doing it on purpose. Can you stop being so childish? Bella also frowned, looking at me with disappointment. Kevin is such a kind person, and his mother is just like him. She would never do something like that. Exactly, Blair added angrily. And even if she did do it on purpose, so what? It's just some soup. Do you have to make such a scene that you drive them away? Her voice was full of condemnation. Hearing their words, a wave of emotions washed over me, and tears sprang to my eyes. The sisters didn't notice my distress. They just shot me a cold look before running out the door after Kevin. Only after they were gone did the searing pain in my body truly register. A large patch of my skin was burning. I tried to stand, but the pain was so intense that I stumbled and fell to the floor. Ethan, Mr. and Mrs. White rushed to help me up, immediately calling their driver to take me to the hospital. When I woke up, the first thing I saw was Mr. and Mrs. White sitting by my bedside. Seeing me awake, Mrs. White wiped away a tear and squeezed my hand, apologizing profusely. Ethan, we checked the security footage. Mrs. Carter did it on purpose. We knew she and her son were manipulative, but we never imagined they'd go this far. Don't you worry, I'll make sure our daughters give you a proper apology and see Kevin for who he really is. And please, sweetie, don't say such things out of anger about being married. I just shook my head. Mrs. White, I'm not saying it out of anger. I really am married. Then, I took a bank card and an emerald necklace from my bag and placed them in her hand. Mrs. White, this is the money I've saved over the years. Please consider it repayment for everything you've spent on me. And this is the White family heirloom you gave me, the one you said was for your future son-in-law. It doesn't belong to me anymore. Please, take it back. Seeing this, Mr. and Mrs. White finally realized I was serious. Mr. White asked again, Ethan, are you really married? You're not lying to us, are you? Each time I nodded firmly. Yes, I'm really married. After a long silence, they both sighed. It's our daughter's loss. We are so sorry, Ethan. They took back the heirloom but refused the bank card. Ethan, listen to us. Keep the money. You might need it for something. I pushed the card back toward them again with a reassuring smile. Mr. and Mrs. White, I won't feel right if you don't take it. My parents left me a sizable inheritance that I've never touched. Besides, after all these years, I've come to see you as my own parents. I'll still be leaving from your house on my wedding day. Helpless, they finally accepted the card. I was in the hospital for 2 days, and the sisters never once came to visit. Mr. and Mrs. White couldn't bear it. They were even more furious when they heard from the staff that their daughters had been spending all their time doting on Kevin. Ethan, you just wait here. We're gonna drag those girls over here to take care of you. You're like a brother to them, and they haven't even checked on you. It's unacceptable. Mr. and Mrs. White, please don't. Having you here is more than enough. I quickly stopped them. I insisted. Seeing that I was serious, they relented. On the day I was discharged, I got a call from Chloe. I designed a tuxedo for you. It's been delivered to the house. Her usually cool voice was like melting ice, filled with an undeniable warmth. I was surprised and blurted out, You design clothes? She chuckled softly on the other end of the line. A little. I just wanted to give my husband the very best. My ears turned bright red. I mumbled a few incoherent responses, my mind going blank, but a warm feeling spread through my chest. When I got back to the house and opened my door, my eyes fell upon an exquisite custom-made tuxedo. It was perfectly structured, with hand-stitched embroidery and deep blue sapphire cufflinks, radiating elegance and luxury from every detail. The only problem was that it was currently being worn by the delicate-featured Kevin. Kevin twirled in the tuxedo, asking happily, "Bianca, Bella, Blair, what do you think? Do I look good in this? You look amazing, like a movie star. More handsome than many of the actors I've worked with. Kevin, if you were getting married, you'd be the most handsome groom in the world." They showered him with compliments, and Kevin's smile grew wider and wider, a faint blush of embarrassment on his cheeks. Watching this, I felt a rage building inside me, so hot it felt like it was burning through my veins. I strode over to Kevin and snapped, "Kevin, that's my tuxedo. Who gave you the right to accept the delivery and put it on? Don't you know that taking things without asking is called stealing? Take it off now." Kevin flinched, his eyes turning red with hurt. "I didn't know it was yours. I just thought it looked so nice. I wanted to try it on. I'm sorry, Ethan. I didn't mean any harm." Despite his words, he made no move to take it off, instead stroking the sapphire cufflinks admiringly. "If you know you were wrong, then take it off." I struggled to contain my fury, my fists clenching at my sides. But Kevin just fidgeted, clutching the sleeves. "I've never worn a suit this well-made before," he said reluctantly. "It's like something out of a dream. Ethan, since you're not really getting married, could you just give it to me? Are you deaf? I told you, I am getting married, and this is my tuxedo. If I give it to you, what am I supposed to wear?" Kevin froze, his eyes instantly welling up with tears before he could even speak. Seeing his pitiful expression, Bianca, Bella, and Blair immediately felt a pang of sympathy. Bianca looked at me, pinching the bridge of her nose in frustration. "That's enough. It's just a tuxedo. You're not actually getting married. You bought it to trick us, fine, but you're taking this act way too far." "Exactly. You're just trying to make us jealous, aren't you?" Bella said with exasperation. "We told you to stop with these games. You seem to be enjoying this act a little too much." Her voice was sharp with impatience. "It's just a prop. If Kevin likes it, let him have it," Blair said, pulling out a black card. "Where did you buy it? I'll pay you for it." She held the card out to me. I took a deep breath, feeling utterly helpless against their stubbornness. "I'll say this one last time. It's not a prop. I am getting married, and this was designed by my wife. It's incredibly important to me. Kevin has to take it off and give it back." The moment the word wife left my lips, the three sisters bristled with anger. Just as they were about to retort, Kevin started crying, tugging on their sleeves. "Bianca, Bella, Blair, please don't fight over me. I'll take it off, okay? I'll take it off." With that, he ran crying into his room. When he came out again, the tuxedo he was holding was torn to pieces. "I'm so sorry, Ethan," he said, a triumphant glint in his eye. "I was taking it off and I accidentally ripped it." He looked at me with a pleased expression. Looking at the tuxedo, which had obviously been destroyed with scissors, I nearly passed out from rage. "You expect me to believe you ripped it taking it off? You did this on purpose." "I really didn't. I'm sorry, Ethan. How much was it? I'll pay you back, okay?" Kevin bit his lip, his crying growing more intense. I was about to explode, but Bianca pulled Kevin behind her. "Enough! How long are you going to keep this up? If you claim your wife designed it, then call her. Ask her how much it cost. I'll pay for it." Bella and Blair chimed in. "That's right. Call your wife right now." The sisters' goal was to force me to end this charade. Hearing me talk about marriage, wedding rings, and my wife every day, even though they believed I was lying, was driving them insane with anger. They thought that by exposing my lie and cornering me, I would finally stop this nonsense. But to their surprise, I clenched my jaw and forced out a single word. "Fine." Then, in front of all of them, I dialed the contact saved as wife. The phone rang for a long time, but there was no answer. The sisters' hearts had been in their throats, a flicker of fear that I might be telling the truth. But as the phone kept ringing, Bianca let out a barely audible scoff. "What's wrong? Didn't rehearse this part." Bella visibly relaxed, a sigh of relief escaping her. "I thought you had some grand trick up your sleeve. Is this all it is? We'll each give you $1 million. Consider the tuxedo bought," Blair said dismissively. She then turned to wipe Kevin's tears. "Stop crying, Kevin. I'll take you shopping. I'll buy you anything you want, something even nicer than this." After calming him down, she gently led him to her car, and the other two sisters followed. After they left, my phone buzzed. It was an iMessage from Chloe. "In a meeting. I'll call you back. Is everything okay?" I quickly typed back, "No, it's fine. You're busy. I just wanted to say I'm so sorry. Someone ruined the tuxedo." I didn't take good care of it. She replied almost instantly, "Don't worry about it. I'll have another one made and sent over." Just then, Mr. and Mrs. White came home. When they saw the ruined tuxedo, their expressions immediately soured. After I explained what happened, they were absolutely furious. Mrs. White said indignantly, "I only hired Mrs. Carter because I felt sorry for her, a widow with a son. I thought they could use the help. But it's clear now that both of them are rotten to the core. Butler, have them dismissed immediately. This is for Ethan." She took my hand and said softly, "Ethan, don't you worry. As long as we're here, we will never let you be treated unfairly." I was touched. I thanked her quietly and left, carrying the ruined tuxedo. No matter what, Chloe had designed this for me. I had to find a way to get it repaired. The butler was efficient. By the time I returned, Kevin and his mother had already been kicked out of the house. I breathed a sigh of relief, thinking I could finally have some peace and quiet before my wedding. But when I got to my room, I found it completely ransacked. I didn't have to guess who was responsible. It was clearly Kevin's handiwork. Resigned, I was about to start cleaning when I heard footsteps approaching. The three sisters burst into the room. "Ethan, you just couldn't stand having Kevin here, could you?" Bianca yelled, grabbing my wrist. "It was just a tuxedo, and we paid you for it, but that wasn't enough for you, was it? You had to get him thrown out." Her grip was painfully tight. I wrenched my arm free, too exhausted and frustrated to argue anymore. "Believe whatever you want." My response only angered Bella more. She frowned in disbelief. "That's your attitude? You're not going to go and apologize to Kevin. What do I have to apologize for?" I asked, genuinely confused. I truly didn't understand. Blair's face was a cold mask. She grabbed my arm and started dragging me toward the door. "You're coming with me to apologize." That was the last straw. I exploded. I threw her hand off with all my strength. "Enough. In 10 days, I'm getting married and leaving this house for good. I will have nothing more to do with any of you. Please, just leave me alone for the next 10 days. With that, I pushed Bianca and Bella out of the room as well, slammed the door shut, and locked it. It was instantly silent on the other side of the door. After a long moment, Blair's arrogant voice came through the door. "Ethan, stop the act. We're not falling for it." I leaned against the door, my body slumping to the floor. I was just so tired. Whether they believed me or not, it didn't matter. I was married. The next day, the sisters were gone. I turned on the TV and saw Bianca at a press conference. "Ms. White, is there a special significance to naming your company's latest jewelry line, the Kevin?" Bianca, dressed in an elegant business suit, held the microphone, a soft smile in her eyes. "The Kevin is named after someone very important to me. His presence in my life has brought me incredible joy." After a moment of stunned silence, the room erupted in a frenzy of questions and camera flashes. A reporter asked excitedly, "Ms. White, who is this Mr. Kevin? Is he your boyfriend? As far as we know, you're single. Is this your way of making a public declaration?" I didn't wait for her answer. I apathetically changed the channel. It was the Academy Awards. The host announced solemnly, "And the Oscar for Best Actress goes to Bella White. Let's have a huge round of applause as she comes to the stage." The room exploded with applause. Everyone agreed the award was well-deserved. It was her second Oscar, making her the youngest actress to ever win two. She walked gracefully to the stage, a small smile on her lips. "I am so honored to receive this award. In addition to the producers and my family, I want to thank someone very special, Kevin Carter. He gave me so much strength and support during filming. I want to share this honor with him." The next moment, to the shock and screams of the audience, Bella stepped down from the stage and led him up by the hand. I immediately changed the channel again. Now it was an esports championship final. The crowd was on the edge of their seats. In the end, Blair's team won a decisive victory, becoming the world champions. As team captain, Blair led her teammates onto the stage to accept the trophy. The moment the trophy was in her hands, she grinned wildly at the camera, kissed it, and her triumphant voice boomed across the broadcast. "Kevin, did you see that? I won. This trophy is for you. From now on, you'll never be alone. I'll be there to take care of you." Just then, my phone on the sofa buzzed. I picked it up. It was an iMessage from Kevin. "Ethan, did you see? My mother and I are doing just fine without the Whites. Sorry to disappoint you." He had attached several screenshots from the broadcasts, all from the moments the sisters had said his name. I scoffed and ignored the message. The doorbell rang. It rang again insistently. I opened the door to find a young man in a sharp suit standing on the porch. "Good morning, sir. I'm Ms. Sterling's assistant. You can call me Mr. Smith. Ms. Sterling has asked me to show you some potential houses. Are you available now?" Took me a second to process. "Oh, just let Chloe decide. I'm fine with whatever she chooses." Mr. Smith shook his head firmly. "Sir, Ms. Sterling was very clear. You are to be the master of the house. It is a Sterling family tradition. The master of the house makes the final decision on all domestic matters." I was stunned. My parents died when I was a child. Even though Mr. and Mrs. White were always kind to me, I've always felt like I was adrift, without a real anchor. This was the first time I was going to have a home of my own. A warmth spread through my chest, and I nodded. After a short drive, the assistant led me to the Grandview Estates. We stood before the largest and most magnificent villa in the development. "Sir, this is the first option Ms. Sterling selected. The area is known for being quiet and beautiful." After just a quick glance, I was shocked to realize the layout was identical to the dream house I had always imagined. I was completely sold on it. Just as I was about to say so, I heard Kevin's voice from nearby. "Bianca, Bella, Blair, this place is so big and expensive. Are you sure this isn't too much to spend on me?" "Not at all. You and your mother need a proper place to live. Plus, it's close to our house, so we can come over and take care of you whenever you need." "That's right. Nothing is too expensive if it's for you. Kevin, just say yes. That little apartment you're renting is falling apart. Do you want us to worry ourselves sick?" At this, Kevin's lips curved into a smile, his eyes brimming with emotion. "It's all my fault. If I hadn't made Ethan angry, he wouldn't have complained to Mr. and Mrs. White, and my mother and I wouldn't have been forced to leave. Then you wouldn't have to spend all this money." Hearing him mention my name, Bella's expression hardened. "Don't you worry about that. I'll make sure you get justice. I won't let you be treated unfairly." As they spoke, they started walking toward the house and saw me standing there. Blair's brow furrowed, her tone hostile. "What are you doing here?" I replied calmly. "I'm looking at houses." Hearing this, the three of them paused and exchanged a look, their hearts skipping a beat. But when they saw the professional-looking assistant beside me, they relaxed, assuming I had just hired an actor to play along with my charade. This time, instead of scolding me, they just laughed. "All right then, we'll just watch you buy it." I ignored them. I was genuinely pleased with the house, so I nodded to Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith completed the transaction and then said, "Sir, let's go look at a few more properties. This one is rather close to your former residence. I'm concerned it might be uncomfortable for you." Hearing this, Blair's face darkened. "What did you just say? Ethan, is this the actor you hired?" she demanded, then turned to Mr. Smith with a sneer. "How much is he paying you?" "I'll double it if you tell me the truth right now." Mr. Smith replied calmly, "You're mistaken, miss. I'm not an actor. I am Ms. Sterling's assistant." Bianca frowned. That name sounds familiar. I had no desire to continue this argument, so I turned to leave. Bianca grabbed my arm. "This house costs hundreds of millions of dollars. Don't you think you're taking this act a little too far?" "Stop it." I pushed her hand away without a second thought. "Whether I'm acting or not," I said with a cold smile, "you'll find out at the wedding." With that, I got in the car with the assistant and we left. We visited several other properties and I bought them all. When I returned to the White's house, I found an invitation and a catalog for an upcoming auction on the table. I wasn't interested and was about to toss it, but as I flipped through the catalog, I saw something on the last page that made my heart stop, a piece of jewelry that had belonged to my mother. My heart pounding, I grabbed the invitation, changed into a formal suit, and headed out. The moment I arrived at the auction, I regretted coming. Bianca, Bella, and Blair were all there, and they had brought Kevin with them. He was sitting in the middle of them, beaming as they doted on him. "Kevin, if you see anything you like, don't hesitate to bid," Bianca was saying. "We'll pay for it. Don't worry about the price. If you like it, it's yours," Bella added, her eyes soft. The other two nodded in agreement. I tore my eyes away from them and focused on the auction. The auctioneer brought out item after item. At first, Kevin was hesitant to bid, but soon, anything he so much as glanced at with interest, the sisters would immediately buy for him. Their extravagant spending drew envious looks from around the room. The White sisters are certainly spoiling that Kevin. I wish I were him. They used to be so obsessed with Ethan Collins. I really thought he'd end up marrying one of them. Who would have guessed it would turn out like this? Choosing the housekeeper's son over him. What a complete humiliation for the Collins family. I felt the pitying stares of the people around me, but I ignored them. I just silently waited for the final item to come up. Finally, the auctioneer carefully brought out a jade bracelet, detailing its history and provenance. I couldn't sit still any longer. I gripped my bidding paddle, waiting. That bracelet was the first gift my father ever gave my mother. I had to get it back, no matter the cost. The bidding will start at $3 million, $4 million, $5 million, $6 million. The price climbed rapidly. One by one, the other bidders dropped out until it was just me and a few others. I kept raising my bid. Seeing how determined I was, Kevin turned to the sisters and said coyly, "That bracelet is so beautiful. I wonder if it would look good on me." Instantly, all three of them jumped in. "I'll buy it for you." And just like that, the three sisters joined the bidding war against me. 15 million, 20 million. My heart sank. They knew exactly what this bracelet meant to me. When it was first lost, I had been devastated. The three of them had drawn pictures of it from memory, competing with each other to try and cheer me up. "Don't be sad, Ethan," they had said. "We'll help you look for it. We'll find it someday. Whatever it takes, we'll get it back for you." Now, those promises were a bitter joke. The price soared to an astronomical figure. 50 million. I checked my bank account. It wasn't enough. To win, I would have to spend my entire inheritance and go into debt. As I hesitated, Bianca made a gesture to the auctioneer, signaling an unconditional bid. The room gasped. It meant she would pay any price, outbidding everyone no matter what. In that moment, my heart shattered. I had lost. When the bracelet was brought to their table, Kevin looked at Bianca, his eyes full of adoration. "Bianca, you bought this for me. Will you be the one to put it on me?" Bella and Blair immediately protested. "Kevin, I have money too. If she hadn't jumped in first, I would have bought it for you." "Bianca, I'll pay you for the bracelet." "Let me be the one to put it on him," Bella said, holding out her credit card. She insisted. Blair did the same. "I have money too, Bianca. Let me do it." As they argued, Kevin pretended to fumble with the bracelet. It slipped from his grasp, hit the marble floor with a sickening crack, and shattered into a dozen pieces. In that instant, my heart broke with it. "Oops," he said. "I dropped it." I knew he had done it on purpose, but there was nothing I could do. Bianca had won it for him. It was his to destroy. My eyes burning with tears, I pushed through the crowd and knelt on the floor, carefully gathering every last shard. I looked up at Kevin. "These pieces are useless to you now. I'll buy them from you." He refused without a second thought. "I'm sorry, Ethan. I really like this bracelet, so I want to keep the pieces. Thanks for picking them up for me." With that, he took the shards from my hands and walked away, flanked by the three sisters. But as he exited the building, he casually tossed the pieces into the decorative fountain by the door. The fountain wasn't deep, only up to my shins, but its bottom was covered in smooth, dark river stones. The jade fragments vanished among them. Without a moment's hesitation, I climbed into the fountain. It started to rain, the downpour blurring my vision and making the search even harder. I don't know how long I searched. My back ached, and I was soaked and freezing, but I finally managed to find every last piece. When I got back to the house, I was dripping wet. Seeing my disheveled state, Bella frowned. "What happened to you? You're a mess." My eyes were red, and tears streamed down my face. My body was shaking uncontrollably as I screamed. "I was looking for the bracelet your precious Kevin smashed and threw away." "My parents' bracelet. Our parents' bracelet," Bianca repeated, the realization dawning on her. All three of them froze. It was the first time they had ever seen me cry. For a moment, they were all at a loss. Bianca's tone softened instantly. "I'm sorry, Ethan. It was my fault. I forgot it was your parents." "I didn't remember either," Bella stammered. "Otherwise, I would have bought it for you, I swear." She sounded frantic. Blair rushed to get me a towel and started drying my hair. "Ethan, I'm so sorry. Go take a hot shower so you don't get sick. And I've told you so many times, we don't love Kevin. We don't like him like that. You're the only one for us." "The only one for them? If I was the only one, would they have left me waiting at City Hall all day in the cold? If I was the only one, would they have shielded Kevin from the soup and not me? If I was the only one, would they have let Kevin destroy my tuxedo and smash my mother's bracelet?" The words were a complete joke. All my grief and helplessness had been washed away in the rain, so I said nothing. I coldly pushed their hands away and walked to my room. I slammed the door and locked it. Then I sat down at my desk, looking at a photo of my parents, and tried to piece the bracelet back together. It was hopeless. What was broken, could never be whole again. 2 days later, I opened my door, my eyes still red and swollen, to find the 3 sisters waiting hesitantly outside. When they saw me, they each held out a jewelry box. Ethan, we searched all over the city to find bracelets that look like it. Please don't be sad anymore, okay? I didn't even look at them. I don't want them. They're not my mother's. And this is my problem, not yours. I don't need your help. My coldness seemed to panic them. Bianca sighed. Ethan, do you have to be so distant? You know how we feel about you. Bella and Blair spoke at the same time. We know you're upset about Kevin, but he's our savior. We're just being good to him to repay the debt. It's different with you. You're the one we truly love. The one they truly love. Hearing those words again, I almost laughed through my tears. I laughed out loud. Then I won't trouble you for your love. Because, as I said, I'm married. Seeing me still joking about being married, their faces fell. Just as they were about to speak, a call came in from Kevin. Bianca, Bella, Blair, I was changing a light bulb and I fell. It hurts so much. The 3 of them immediately panicked. They hung up and turned to me. Ethan, stop joking about this. If you don't like these bracelets, we'll find others. With that, they all rushed out the door. For the next 3 days, the sisters didn't come back. But the iMessages from Kevin never stopped. He sent photos. Bianca gently applying ointment to his bruises. Bella arranging a bouquet of flowers in a vase. Blair feeding him pieces of fruit. Ethan, see? I just twisted my ankle, and they're taking such good care of me. I don't know how I'll ever repay them. I glanced at the message and ignored it. I was busy gathering up everything that reminded me of them. I threw it all into the fireplace, lit a match, and watched as the flames consumed it all. As the pile in the fireplace turned to ash, I felt the past turning to smoke along with it. When the sisters returned, they walked in on this scene, and their hearts seemed to stop. Ethan, what are you doing? Blair screamed, rushing to find water to put out the fire. She was in a complete panic. Bianca and Bella frantically grabbed whatever they could to help put it out. I just watched them silently. By the time they put the fire out, it was too late. Nothing was left but a pile of ash and charred fragments. Bella looked at me in disbelief. Ethan, why would you burn all of this? I told you, I'm getting married. I didn't want my wife to see these things and get the wrong idea, so I burned them. My cold demeanor threw them into a panic. For a moment, they almost believed I was serious. But then they quickly reassured themselves. It was impossible. I would never marry anyone else. Bianca's eyes were dark. Ethan, this tantrum has gone on long enough. It's not funny anymore. I just looked at them calmly and said, tomorrow at noon, I invite Ms. Bianca White, Ms. Bella White, and Ms. Blair White to witness my wedding. The next day, I got dressed and prepared to leave to pick up my bride. Mr. and Mrs. White sat with me. Seeing me in my tuxedo, Mrs. White wiped away a tear. Ethan, if things don't work out, you always have a home here with us. I nodded and squeezed her hand with a smile. Just then, we heard footsteps on the stairs. It was Bianca, Bella, and Blair coming down. Seeing that they were dressed to go out, Mrs. White stopped them. Where do you think you're going? Today is Ethan's wedding. Bianca's eyes widened for a split second when she saw me in the tuxedo, a flash of admiration in their cool depths, but she quickly masked it with a cold expression. Mom, Dad, it's one thing for Ethan to play these games with us, but you can't possibly believe him, can you? What do you mean, play games? Mr. White said, his voice rising. Ethan is getting married today. Are you blind? He was furious. Bella's expression was nonchalant. We see him throwing another tantrum and putting on a show for us. Blair looked completely unbothered, her hands shoved in her pockets. Ethan, if you want to play this game, fine. We'll play along. Let's see if anyone actually shows up. We can see how good of an actress you hired. The minutes ticked by. The clock struck 12. No one arrived. Blair let out a sigh of relief, a mocking smile spreading across her face. You were so convincing before. What happened? Did you forget to hire your actress today? Bella also looked relieved. All right, this has gone on long enough. Ethan, take off the tuxedo. The show is over. Bianca looked at me, her eyes dark and intense. You're doing all this because we stood you up 2 weeks ago, aren't you? Fine. Let's go to City Hall right now. All 3 of us. You can choose. I frowned. Just as I was about to speak, their phone rang. It was Kevin. He was sobbing hysterically. Bianca, Bella, Blair, my mom was in a car accident. What do I do? She's all I have. If she's gone, I don't want to live anymore. Hearing this, the 3 of them paled. Don't panic. We're on our way. With that, they rushed for the door. Mrs. White's voice was sharp. Stop right there. None of you are going to see Kevin. Today is Ethan's wedding day. If you leave now, you will regret it for the rest of your lives. The three of them exchanged an impatient look. Ethan belongs to us. Who else would he marry? Mom, Dad, please stop playing along with his act. As soon as we're done with Kevin, we'll go marry Ethan. Before she could reply, they were out the door. Watching them leave, Mrs. White was so furious she threw her teacup against the wall. They will regret this. They will absolutely regret this. The moment their cars sped away, a series of car horns sounded from the street. I ran outside to see a long line of black luxury cars parked in front of the house. Men in black suits got out, and a moment later, the air was filled with a shower of white rose petals from dozens of confetti cannons. Mr. Smith got out first and respectfully opened the rear door of the lead car. Sir, my apologies. We were delayed by traffic. It's all right, I smiled, then turned back to Mr. and Mrs. White, my eyes stinging with tears. Mr. and Mrs. White, I'm going to start my own family now. Their eyes were red too. They took my hands. You must be happy, my boy. I will be. I promise. I hugged them both, took one last look at the house I had lived in for 15 years, and then got into the car without looking back, ready to start my new life. In the car, Chloe's deep eyes held a gentle smile. She leaned over and carefully adjusted my tie. You look very handsome, she said sincerely. Even better than I imagined when I was designing it. I glanced down at her beautiful wedding dress, but my eyes were drawn to her profile. Her features were exquisite, perfectly sculpted. The moment I looked at her, I felt my heart skip a beat. Thank you, I managed to say, my face flushing. You look beautiful today, too. The compliment sounded so clumsy. Chloe just laughed softly. Being complimented by my husband is an honor. Her elegant voice sent a tingle through me, and my heart began to race. I looked out the window, trying to calm my racing heart. The scenery flew by, and soon we pulled up to a magnificent private estate. The entire estate was decorated in shades of romantic, ethereal white and blush pink. It looked like a fairy tale. As the wedding march began to play, I stepped out of the car and offered my hand to Chloe. She placed her hand in mine without hesitation, trusting me to lead her down the aisle. The ceremony proceeded in a blur. My mind was blank, as if I were in a dream, simply following Chloe's lead. The moment we exchanged rings, a sense of calm finally settled over me. This wasn't a dream. I was really married. Amid the cheers of the guests, Chloe pulled me close, her arm around my waist, and gently kissed me. At that exact moment, in the hospital, all three sisters clutched at their chests. They exchanged a look, each feeling as if they had just lost something irreplaceable. Ethan, they all whispered at once, a sudden, inexplicable panic seizing them. Their hearts were racing. Blair instinctively stood up to leave. Just then, Kevin, his eyes red from crying, grabbed her hand. Blair, are you in a hurry? Can you please stay with me a little longer? He choked out. Blair hesitated, her expression conflicted, but an urgent feeling in her gut was screaming at her to leave. She had a terrible feeling that, if she didn't leave right now, she would regret it for the rest of her life. So, after a moment's hesitation, she pushed his hand away. Kevin, Bianca is still here, and your mother is out of danger. I have to go. I'm sorry. With that, she ran out of the hospital as fast as she could. Blair! Kevin called after her, but it was no use. He tried to call her back. Dejected, he turned to Bianca and Bella for comfort, only to see them getting up to leave as well. Kevin, your mother has a nurse and she's stable now, Bianca said, her expression grim. We have to go. She didn't give him a chance to argue. Bella looked just as anxious. I have to go too, Kevin. I'm sorry. I'll come back later. A flash of resentment crossed Kevin's face, but he quickly covered it with a weak smile. It's okay. I'll be fine by myself. If you're busy, you should go. I'm just a little scared, that's all. But this time, even Bella, usually so perceptive, missed his plea for them to stay. Instead, she looked relieved. Good. We'll go then. With that, she hurried out. Bianca was already long gone. Seeing them all leave, Kevin stomped his foot in frustration, but there was nothing he could do. When he returned to the room, his mother, lying in the hospital bed, looked past him toward the door. Stop looking, Mom. They all had to leave, Kevin said dejectedly. He slumped into the chair beside her bed. His mother looked at him with exasperation. I told you to keep them here today. How do we know if Ethan was really getting married or just bluffing? Kevin glanced at the clock. It was already 4 in the afternoon. He relaxed. Don't worry, Mom. Whether it was real or fake, it's too late now. If it was real, they missed it. If it was fake, they'll be furious with him for tricking them like this. Either way, their relationship is bound to fall apart. And then all three of them will be mine for the taking. Don't worry. Hearing this, his mother finally relaxed. You're right. She glanced down at her bandaged arm and decided the accident had been well worth it. When the sisters got back to the house, they were stunned by the silence. The cobblestone path leading to the door was strewn with fragrant white rose petals, a clear sign of a celebration. Bianca's heart leaped into her throat, her face turning pale. Ethan! She ran into the house, her usual composure gone, frantically searching for any sign of me. The other two were right behind her, just as frantic. Blair's eyes were red as she tore through the house, screaming my name. Ethan, stop playing games. You want to get married? Fine. Let's go get our IDs and go to City Hall right now. We'll go right now. Bella stood before her parents, her face fixed in its usual smile, but her eyes were icy. Mom, Dad, where's Ethan? Did you hide him somewhere to teach us a lesson? This isn't funny. Please stop encouraging him. Has he made his choice yet? It's time for him to give us an answer. She was smiling, but it was a desperate, self-deceiving smile. Mr. and Mrs. White couldn't believe their daughters were still in such deep denial. With a sharp crack, Mr. White slapped Bella across the face. Foolish girl. Her million-dollar face, the one adored by fans worldwide, was now red and swollen. If her fans could see her now, their hearts would break. But Bella didn't even seem to feel it. You've hit me, Dad. Now can you please tell me where Ethan is? At her words, Bianca and Blair appeared behind her, also waiting for an answer. Mrs. White let out a cold laugh and threw her phone at them. You want to know where Ethan is? Why don't you look for yourselves? They caught the phone. The image on the screen, a photo from my wedding, seared itself into their minds. It was a photo from my wedding. It wasn't photoshopped. It was real. A woman, every bit as beautiful as they were, was in my arms. A delicate white veil was draped over both our heads, but you could still clearly see that I was kissing her. The smile in my eyes was genuine, heartfelt joy. They knew me better than anyone, and they knew I hadn't smiled like that in a very, very long time. Bianca's hand, holding the phone, tightened until her knuckles were white. The pressure was so intense it seemed she might shatter the screen. Mom, Dad, you're lying to us, right? She said, her voice barely a whisper. Where did you find this actress? Ethan really went all out this time. The words sounded like they were being torn from her throat. Bella's face was a mask of disbelief, her voice trembling. Impossible. Ethan loves us. He would never marry someone else. It's fake. It has to be fake. Blair was in denial too. Her usually arrogant expression was replaced by one of utter devastation. I don't believe it. I'm going to find him. With that, she ran out of the house, and no one could stop her. Bianca and Bella followed right after her. Night fell, and the city lights began to glow. They all had excellent memories. With just one glance, they had memorized the background of the photo. The three sisters split up, searching all over New York City for the estate in the picture. Not this one. Not this one. None of them were right. They searched for hours. The streets grew empty. They ran into each other several times, but none of them had found the estate. They met up again, exhaustion etched on all their faces. Bianca called her mother. Mom, do you know where Ethan's wedding was? Her mother's reply was a cold, I don't know. Before she hung up, they were still at a dead end. But it was becoming terrifyingly clear that I had been serious. And none of the staff had called to say I had come home. The three sisters drove aimlessly through the city. One of them took a wrong turn, ending up on a secluded but beautiful private road. After driving for a while, the road opened up, and there it was, the estate from the photograph. Even at night, the estate, named Rosewood Manor, was breathtakingly beautiful. Just as Blair was about to drive through the gates, several large security guards approached her car. Ma'am, this is a private estate. No trespassing. Blair had never cared for rules. If she wanted to go somewhere, she went. She was about to floor it and crash the gate when Bella got out of her own car and stopped her. Excuse me, Bella said to the guards. Who is the owner of this estate? We need to speak with them. We're looking for someone. The guard looked at them, frowning as if thinking, if you found this place, you should know who owns it. But he just replied, the owner of this estate is from the Sterling family. This is private property. You need to leave. Bianca's face was grim. The name Sterling rang a bell. She remembered the assistant, Mr. Smith, mentioning a Ms. Sterling. The coincidence was too great to ignore. The name had sounded vaguely familiar before, but now she remembered. She was about to enter into a major business deal, and the key partner was the notoriously private head of the Sterling Corporation. She connected the dots. Her heart pounded. She felt like she was on the verge of a terrible truth. An estate like this was clearly not something you could just rent for a day to stage a fake wedding. Even with their family's influence, they had never known such an estate existed in the heart of New York City, a place where every square inch was worth a fortune. There was no way I could have known about it. I hadn't been lying. All the things I had said, the things they had dismissed as jokes, if they were all true, then I really had gotten married today. As the reality of the situation sank in, the faces of all three sisters turned ashen. They couldn't accept it. In all their lives, they had never once imagined I would marry anyone but one of them. Why? The question echoed in all three of their minds. What had they done so wrong that I would choose someone else? After a long silence, none of them could find an answer. The wedding was long over. Tonight was my wedding night with this Chloe Sterling. They couldn't bear to imagine what that meant. Bianca spun her car around, her face a stony mask, but the speed at which she tore down the road betrayed her inner turmoil. Bella and Blair followed close behind. They were all heading to the same place, the Grandview Estates. They ran countless red lights, finally screeching to a halt at the Grandview Estates. The moon was high in the sky. The three sisters stood outside my new house, staring at the warm lights glowing within, but none of them had the courage to ring the doorbell. The curtains in the upstairs master bedroom were drawn, but a soft light glowed from behind them. They knew they should rush in and stop whatever was happening, but they had no right, no reason. After all, what were they to me now? They were just the girls I grew up with. And the woman inside that house was my wife. The memory of them tearing up my marriage certificate was now a bitter, ironic joke. Ethan told us the truth all along, Bianca said, her voice hollow. We were just too stubborn to believe him. We lied to ourselves. She gave a bitter laugh. Bella stared up at the master bedroom window, silent and unmoving, like a statue. Blair was consumed by a jealous rage. Never one to control her temper, she stormed up to the door and began pounding on it, screaming over her shoulder at her sisters, her eyes red with fury. Bianca! Bella, I'm not a coward like you two. Ethan is ours. He's always been ours. No one is going to take him from us. She pounded on the door, rang the doorbell, even kicked it, but no one answered. Her efforts were futile. They stood outside the house all night, but the door never opened. The next morning, the front door finally opened. Chloe stood there in a loose silk robe, a blissful, satisfied smile on her face. Can I help you? She asked, leaning lazily against the doorframe, her eyes cool and dismissive, as if they were nothing more than a minor annoyance. The look of pure happiness on her face was like a knife in their hearts. Blair clenched her jaw and threw a punch straight at Chloe's face. But Chloe caught her fist easily, almost without effort. Chloe's eyes narrowed, and with a sharp twist, she dislocated Blair's wrist, completely unconcerned that it was the wrist of a world champion gamer. Bianca grabbed Blair, whispering, "Don't be rash." Then she turned to Chloe, her voice strained but calm. "Ms. Sterling, Ethan married you on an impulse. Please give him back to us. A woman like you could have any man in the world. But we can't live without Ethan." Ha! Chloe let out a short, sharp laugh. Her presence was incredibly intimidating. Then she did something unexpected. She glanced down at the wedding ring on her finger. "In the Sterling family," she said, her voice firm, "we marry for life. Ethan is an adult. He was perfectly clear-headed when he chose to marry me. I need him and he needs me. Besides, it's not as if he's the only man in the world for you, is it?" As she spoke, her gaze shifted to someone standing behind them. Bella turned to see Kevin standing there, his face pale, looking as if he might collapse. "Bianca, Bella, Blair, am I interrupting?" he asked, his voice weak. "I saw your cars and I was worried. Ethan, he's really married." Kevin suppressed a smirk, but when he got a clear look at Chloe, a pang of jealousy shot through him. How could Ethan find someone so incredible after being cast aside? Noticing Chloe's warning glare, he quickly looked away from her and back at the sisters, his eyes welling with tears. "Kevin, shouldn't you be at the hospital with your mother?" Bella said, trying to dismiss him. "We can handle this." She then turned her gaze back to Chloe, her expression defiant. "Of course it has to be Ethan. We don't love Kevin. We're just grateful to him. We know who we want to spend the rest of our lives with." At her words, Kevin's face fell. He couldn't believe that after all his efforts, all he was to them was a debt of gratitude. He wanted so much more. He wanted all three of them. And looking at Chloe, he thought maybe even a fourth. He snuck another glance at Chloe. He started to cry, tears streaming down his face as he looked pitifully at the sisters. I've always known you don't love me. I just couldn't help falling for one of you. But don't worry, I'll control my feelings. I won't cause any trouble. After all, I know your hearts belong to Ethan. He lowered his gaze and began to sob, a picture of heartbreak. But now that Ethan's married, does he still have to choose? Who does he really love the most? It couldn't be that he wants all of you, could it? As he said this, he quickly glanced at their faces, then pretended to catch himself. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Take it back. Of course Ethan only loves one person. He wouldn't be indecisive. Chloe was completely unfazed by his attempts to stir up trouble. She was the one with the ring on her finger. Besides, she and I had talked last night, laying all our cards on the table. I had told her that I was completely over the White sisters. I had no romantic feelings for any of them anymore. Chloe was confident in our relationship, but the three sisters fell silent, looking at each other with a new wariness. For years, they had been fighting for my affection, but I had never chosen. Even they didn't know which one of them I truly loved. Could it be, as Kevin suggested, that I wanted all three of them? At this thought, Bianca, Bella, and Blair all shot each other a hostile glare. Even though they were sisters, they had been competing with each other their entire lives. At their core, they were all too proud and possessive to ever consider sharing. The very thought was repulsive. Impossible, all three of them said at once. They spoke in perfect unison. For once, they hated their sisterly connection. Their vehement reaction startled Kevin, but he quickly composed himself, pleased with the seed of doubt he had planted. Just as he was about to stir up more trouble, I came slowly down the stairs. Hearing the commotion, I rubbed my eyes sleepily. Who's here? I followed the faint, clean scent of Chloe's perfume, wrapping my arms around her waist and leaning against her, resting my full weight on her. Seeing my familiar, intimate gesture, Blair looked like she was about to explode with jealousy. Ethan, don't you lean on her, she shrieked. Her voice was shrill. In the past, whenever she had to wake me up when I was exhausted, I would lean on her just like that. Now I was doing it with someone else, and she couldn't stand it. Bianca and Bella looked equally furious. For years, while I was still undecided, they had refrained from any physical intimacy, afraid of pushing me away. But now I had clearly crossed that line with someone else. The jealousy was driving all three of them mad. To make matters worse, their strange sisterly connection meant they could feel each other's jealousy, amplifying it threefold. It was an overwhelming, suffocating wave of envy. Just then, Chloe turned and wrapped her arms around me. How did you sleep, darling? She murmured, nuzzling into my neck. Her voice was a playful purr. Hearing her words, the three sisters looked like they were about to lose their minds. Ethan, divorce her. Come home with us. We can pretend this never happened, Bianca said, grabbing my arm, her grip like steel. She pulled so hard I thought she might dislocate my shoulder. The pain shocked me fully awake. I opened my eyes and saw the three of them, and my good mood vanished. You see now? I'm really married. I wasn't joking. I wasn't playing a game. I'm not going back with you. I have my own home now, a home that doesn't include you. I pushed her hand away firmly. I'm not choosing any of you. The words echoed in their minds, a constant refrain. I didn't want them. Bianca stared at me, her eyes filled with confusion and disbelief. Why? She voiced the question that was on all their minds. Why won't you choose? You loved one of us. Is love something you can just give up on? We've loved you for so many years. I just smiled, a sad, tired smile. I'm not choosing because it doesn't matter anymore. I don't love any of you. Is that not clear enough? Stop saying you love me. Admit it, you're just not willing to let go of the past. You have someone else in your life now, and so do I. We'll all be better off this way. Don't you think so, my dear sisters? After so many years, hearing me call them sisters again brought them no joy. When we were children, they used to fight over who got to be my big sister, each wanting to be the special one. Eventually, I stopped calling any of them that and just used their names. Since their names were different, they could each be unique and the fighting stopped. I had always been good at keeping the peace between them. I was doing it now, too. By choosing none of them, I was treating them all equally. But now, my impartiality was a source of exquisite pain. No, it's not just an obsession, Bella said, her voice pleading. We've told you so many times. We truly love you. Her explanation was weak and utterly useless. I was exhausted. I had barely slept on my wedding night, and now I had to deal with this. I had no energy to argue with them. They never listened to reason anyway. They only ever believed what they wanted to believe. There was no point. I pushed them out the door and slammed it shut. The next second, my legs felt weak, and I leaned against Chloe for support. The brave face I had just put on crumbled completely. Chloe put her arm around me. You don't have to be strong in front of me. If you're hurting, you can tell me. Whatever happens, I will always be on your side. Her usually cool voice was so gentle now, I felt myself wanting to sink into its warmth. But I warned myself not to get too comfortable. Always, I asked, my voice barely a whisper. The words slipped out. Always, she replied, without a hint of hesitation. I was so unused to such unconditional kindness that I almost pulled away. I had heard promises of forever too many times before. Chloe must have sensed my hesitation. She took my hand and placed it over her heart. Don't worry, the Sterlings are a very old-fashioned family. If I ever betrayed you, the family elders would probably have me disowned before you even found out. I could feel the steady, strong beat of her heart under my palm. She was telling the truth. I was stunned. It was hard to imagine a family with such strict traditions in this day and age. My mind drifted back to the hasty beginning of our marriage. I had waited at City Hall from dusk until dawn, and then from dawn until sunset. My 22nd birthday, a day I had been anticipating for years, had ended in lonely disappointment. Getting married had been an act of pure defiance. But it was Chloe who had approached me, draping her coat over my shoulders. There was a flicker of nervousness in her cool eyes, but her voice was steady. I've been watching you for a while. This is forward of me, but are you in a rush to get married? If so, would you consider me? Her beautiful face, appearing so suddenly, was like a light in my gray, dreary world. I don't know where I found the courage, but I nodded. Yes, let's get married. On impulse, I took her hand, and we walked into City Hall, getting our marriage license just moments before they closed. That day felt like a dream. Even now, it's hard to believe it was real. I asked her, Chloe, if it hadn't been me that day, would you have just asked some other random person to marry you? No, she said without hesitation. Her eyes were filled with a deep, hidden affection. I told you, I had been watching you for a long time. I was waiting for you. I was so stunned I couldn't speak. My heart was pounding. It felt like the only sounds in the world were our breathing and the beating of our hearts. After a long moment, I finally found my voice. But you know I only chose you that day because I had no other options. I stammered, my throat dry. It doesn't matter. As long as you chose me in the end, that's all that matters, Chloe said, pulling me into a tight hug. She held me close, as if memorizing the feel of my warmth and the rhythm of my heart. As long as I was with her, that was enough. In a way I couldn't see, her eyes shone with a possessive, satisfied light. I don't believe in love at first sight, and Chloe didn't seem like the type to either. I needed an answer. Chloe, why were you waiting for me? I don't believe in love at first sight. Chloe sighed, gently released me, and led me into her study. She pressed a button on the wall, and a hidden door slid open. The room inside was filled with photos of me. Most of them were candid shots, taken on street corners, in parks, at award ceremonies. I was shocked. I never imagined that another place besides the White House held such a collection of photos of me. I looked at her, a strange, unnerving feeling creeping over me. Sensing my unease, she gently tapped me on the head. One chance encounter is nothing, but after we kept running into each other, again and again, I finally had to admit that I had feelings for you. She paused, and the intense love in her eyes was impossible to miss. I looked away, licking my dry lips. And then what? I asked, my voice hoarse. And then, she began, a nostalgic look in her eyes. I kept trying to get close to you, but it never worked out. I don't know how many chance encounters it takes for two people to get together. You always had your 3 childhood friends with you. The way they looked at you, so possessive, I could never find the right moment to tell you how I felt. So I gave up. But then, on our 99th chance encounter, I finally got out of the car and asked you to marry me. As she spoke, fragmented memories began to piece themselves together in my mind. A woman as striking as Chloe, I must have noticed her. But every time I did, Bianca, Bella, or Blair would step in, possessively blocking my view, demanding my full attention. So all this time, someone had been loving me from afar. Moved, I pulled Chloe into my arms and held her tight. Chloe, let's never be apart. Never, she whispered, her smile radiant. She was beaming. But while our home was filled with warmth, the white mansion was eerily silent. Bianca, Bella, and Blair sat in my old room, though none of them knew for how long. The room was deathly silent. Looking around at the Spartan, impersonal space, they finally began to realize just how badly they had neglected me. The little prince they had once spoiled rotten had been dragged through the mud by them. But I had pulled myself out, and now I didn't need them anymore. They had no idea how to win me back. They didn't understand what they had done wrong. Hadn't they explained countless times that they only felt gratitude and pity for Kevin? Nothing more? Why was I still so jealous? The doorbell rang several times. Blair, annoyed, ran a hand through her hair and went to answer it. Kevin, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be at the hospital with your mother? Despite her annoyance, she let him in. Kevin paused, then said, My mom's fine. I was just worried about you all. You were in such a state the other day. I want to make sure you're eating and sleeping properly. You need your strength to apologize to Ethan. With that, he made himself at home, heading into the kitchen to start cooking. Having grown up watching his mother, he was a decent cook. But cooking wasn't his real purpose for being there. He was wearing a tight, white button-down shirt that clung to his muscular frame. Noticing no one was paying attention to him, he accidentally dropped a wet piece of meat into the hot oil, causing it to splatter violently. Watch out! Blair immediately pulled him into her arms, shielding him with her own body. He then pretended to be concerned, quickly washing his hands and dabbing at an oil spot on her face with a wet paper towel. Did it burn you? He asked, his voice full of worry. He feigned concern. Blair tried to pull away, but her eyes fell on the front of his shirt, where it had gotten wet. The white fabric was now translucent, clinging to his skin and revealing the defined muscles of his chest. She quickly looked away, a strange, unsettling feeling creeping over her. I'm fine, just keep cooking. She didn't know how to cook, but something felt wrong. She watched him, and the feeling of unease grew stronger. Who would wear such impractical clothes to cook in? He never used to dress like this when he helped in the kitchen. Back then, he wore the standard staff uniform, his hair neatly combed, his face clean-shaven. But now, that night, Kevin stayed over again, claiming he needed to take care of them. Just as Blair was about to fall asleep, there was a knock on her door. What is it? She asked, her tone the same as always. She sounded impatient. Kevin, however, didn't seem to notice. He stood there wrapped in a towel, his hair dripping wet. Blair, he said, shivering slightly, the hot water in my bathroom went out. Can I use yours? Knowing full well what he was planning, she let him in anyway. She wanted to see just how far he would take this. The moment he stepped into the bathroom, Blair's expression turned to ice. After the sound of the shower running for a while, he finally emerged. As the bathroom door opened, a strange, sweet scent filled the air. She felt a sudden wave of heat and tugged at the collar of her shirt. Just then, Kevin walked out wearing a shirt so thin it was practically transparent, an innocent smile on his face. Thanks, Blair, he said. I'm all finished. With that, he started walking toward her. Feeling the heat rising in her own body, her expression changed in an instant. She grabbed his wrist with one hand and clamped her other hand on his shoulder, her grip so tight it left clear red marks. Ah! He let out a sharp cry of pain, tears springing to his eyes. Just as he was about to beg her to be gentler, Blair mercilessly threw him out of the room. She pinned him against the wall, her hand tight around his throat. Her voice was ice cold, her face a mask of fury. Who gave you the nerve to drug me? I didn't. Blair, you've got it all wrong. He choked out, clawing at her hand. He desperately tried to pry her fingers from his neck. The commotion brought Bianca and Bella out of their rooms. Seeing the scene in the hallway, they instantly understood. Still holding Kevin by the throat, Blair explained everything. The look in Bianca and Bella's eyes turned to ice. Bianca put a hand on Blair's arm, signaling for her to let go. Blair, though confused, released her grip. Bianca! Bianca! Kevin gasped, sucking in air. He was about to thank her, tears of relief in his eyes, when Bianca kicked him hard in the chest, sending him flying down the hall. He landed in a heap, coughing and sputtering, a look of utter disbelief on his pale face. Then Bella knelt beside him, her face a mask of gentle concern. She tilted his chin up and asked softly, Do you like all of us? Or just Blair? Why did you only try to seduce her? Am I not attractive enough for you? The world-famous actress, adored by millions, asking such a vulnerable question. For a moment, Kevin's heart melted, and he was lost in the gentle warmth she projected. No, of course not. You're incredibly beautiful. It's just, I knew I could never have you, so I settled for the next best thing. Believe me, I like you the most. At his words, the faces of all three women darkened with fury. Bella's gentle expression vanished. She gripped his chin, her fingers digging in so hard he thought his jaw would break. Like me? The next best thing? In your mind, we were all just prizes for you to collect, weren't we? If you hadn't gotten impatient tonight, we might have never known. Bianca brought her heel down hard on his hand, the sound of bone crunching echoing in the hall. Was this the hand you used to light that aphrodisiac incense? She snarled. The smell is quite strong. But what right do you have to pick and choose among us? Tears of agony streamed down Kevin's face. He was filled with a bottomless regret. He had never imagined they despised him this much, that the very idea of being with him was repulsive to them, especially Blair. The incense had clearly affected her. He had seen it. Why hadn't she given in? Utterly desperate, Kevin played his last card, the debt they owed him. Bianca, Bella, Blair, I'm sorry. I was just confused. I like you all so much I did a stupid thing. I'll never do it again. I saved your lives. Please, just let me go this one time, please? He begged. His voice was a pathetic whine. Bella seemed to soften, and her grip loosened. Bianca's expression was no longer quite as murderous. Only Blair remained unmoved. Seeing her sisters wavering, Blair sneered. He's a manipulative snake, and you're still falling for it? How many times is he going to use that "I saved you" card? Haven't we repaid that debt 100 times over? The other two said nothing. Blair finally understood how I must have felt all those times. Fighting against the effects of the drug, she ran out of the house in her pajamas, straight into the pouring rain, and didn't look back. The cold rain drenched her, chilling her to the bone. Before she knew it, she found herself standing outside my house. Warm light glowed from the windows, but she couldn't bring herself to knock on the door. After standing in the rain all night, she finally understood the pain and desperation I had felt searching for my mother's bracelet in the fountain. The next morning, just as the front door began to open, Blair instinctively ducked into the bushes. Through the dense leaves, she saw Chloe holding an umbrella over me, shielding me completely from the lingering drizzle. The smile on my face was one of pure, unadulterated happiness. I had my arm linked with Chloe's, and the bubble of intimacy around us was impenetrable. A wave of inadequacy washed over her, a feeling she had never known before. Long after our car had driven away, Blair finally emerged from the bushes. It was impossible to tell if the moisture on her cheeks was from the rain or from her tears. The rain washed the leaves from her clothes, erasing any trace that she had ever been there. That evening, when I got home, I found a box containing a jade bracelet on the doorstep. On top of the box was a sticky note with a hastily scrawled message. I'm sorry. This is my apology. If I could go back, I would have bought the bracelet for you. I wish you happiness. I won't bother you again, Blair. I stared at the note for a long time before finally taking the box inside. Then I turned to Chloe. Aren't you going to open the door? We went inside, and the door closed behind us. In the bushes, Blair's face was streaked with tears. Is this the only way I can apologize to you? But the first part was true. Ethan, I can't let you go. I can't truly wish you happiness. But if this is what it takes to make you happy, then I'll pretend. How could she let go of someone she had loved for so many years with just a few simple words? Her love for me had been real, but so had the mistakes she'd made, and the pain she had caused. She couldn't earn my forgiveness, so she settled for this small, desperate gesture to ease her own conscience. Blair herself didn't remember leaving. When she got back to the mansion, she packed a suitcase. Just as she was about to leave, Bianca stopped her. Blair, where are you going? Bianca asked, her brow furrowed in confusion. She looked completely baffled. Blair's expression was flat. To the training facility. I'm going into lockdown to prepare for the next tournament. I'm getting older, I don't have the same advantage I used to. I need to train harder if I want to win. With that, she walked out the door with her suitcase and didn't look back. Bianca stood there, stunned. The house suddenly felt much colder, much emptier. Before she could say anything else, Blair was in her car and gone. Looking down at the file in her hand, the evidence she had gathered, Bianca's expression hardened, her aura becoming cold and dangerous. She walked back into the house, and a moment later, Kevin tried to press himself against her. Her expression turned to ice in an instant, and she sidestepped him smoothly. Bianca, Blair just left so suddenly. Couldn't stop her. Is she okay? He asked, his face a mask of concern. Bianca stared at his feigned concern, her eyes boring into him, as if trying to see into his very soul. Just then, Bella appeared behind Bianca, casually twirling her phone in her long fingers. Worried about Blair? Why don't you start worrying about yourself? What? Kevin asked, trying to keep the panic out of his voice. He forced a smile, trying to act casual. Bianca threw the file in his face. You'd better have a good explanation for these 2 car accidents, she said, her voice dripping with venom. Why was the driver who hit us the same one who hit your mother? The same driver who conveniently disappeared overseas right after our accident, only to reappear just in time for hers? You knew him all along, didn't you? The thought that they had been so thoroughly deceived, that they had been so kind to him, filled her with an uncontrollable rage. She grabbed his wrist, her grip like a vice. The sharp edge of the paper cut his cheek, leaving a thin red line. Instantly, Kevin's face went pale, and tears began to stream down his cheeks. He shook his head frantically. No, I didn't. Bianca, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Bella, please, tell her she's wrong. He looked at Bella, his eyes pleading. Did someone tell Bianca these lies? My mother and I are just servants. How could we possibly arrange something like that? It must have been Ethan, wasn't it? He never liked me. It makes sense he would try to turn you against me. As he spoke, he watched their faces, searching for any sign of doubt. Bella's usually warm, smiling eyes were now glacial, and a flicker of pure hatred crossed her face. Stop pretending. You have no right to even say Ethan's name. Do you really think we don't know what you and your mother did? You paid that driver to hit us, then played the hero knowing full well you wouldn't be seriously hurt. And we were stupid enough to believe you to not dig deeper. But you can't erase the evidence. If your mother hadn't been so sloppy staging her own accident, we might never have found out the truth. Bella had never been truly gentle. She leaned in and whispered in his ear, Don't worry, Kevin. After all the evil you've done, I'm not going to let you off easy. Every bit of pain you caused Ethan, you're going to feel it yourself. It was Bianca who finally intervened when Kevin looked like he was about to pass out. Careful. Don't kill him. At her words, Bella slowly released her grip. The next second, a tureen of scalding soup was thrown all over him. Kevin had just caught his breath when the searing pain hit. His skin instantly turned a blistering red, and he curled into a ball on the floor, writhing in agony, trying to cool his burns on the cold marble. You can't handle a little pain? Bianca said, her voice dripping with contempt. How do you think Ethan felt? Her eyes narrowed, and at the mention of my name, a pang of guilt and sorrow shot through her. They had spoiled me my entire life. How much had I suffered after Kevin came into our lives? Thinking back, she realized they were the ones who had allowed it to happen. A wave of guilt washed over her. Bella felt the same way. She had spent her life playing other people, studying human nature, winning awards for her insight, yet in her own life, she had been completely blind. She had been too arrogant, too confident in her own judgment, to see through Kevin's pathetic manipulations. Now, with clear eyes, she saw how foolish she had been. The thought made her glare at Kevin with renewed hatred. Before he could recover, she grabbed him by the collar and began dragging him toward the man-made lake on the property. Guessing her intentions, Kevin clung to her leg, begging, Bella, I'm sorry. I know I was wrong, but I really did save you, and I really do love you. Please don't do this. I'm in so much pain. Please, just let me go. Bella stopped, but only to kick his hands away in disgust. Don't touch me, she said, her voice like ice. Kevin stared at his hands, a blank look on his face. He had never imagined being looked at with such utter revulsion. All the warmth and affection they had once shown him had vanished in an instant. Why? He looked up at the tall, elegant woman beside him. I was so careful, he asked, his voice a broken whisper. How did you find out? By the edge of the lake, Bella laughed, a cold, humorless sound. Careful? Don't flatter yourself. We didn't find out because we chose not to look. And with that, she kicked him into the lake. Just as he was about to go under for the last time, she had a bodyguard pull him out. He had barely caught his breath before he was shoved back under. After this happened several more times, he stopped struggling. He went limp, his eyes vacant with despair. Crying for help was useless. It only prolonged the torture. He gave up. Seeing his lifeless state, Bianca waved a hand, signaling the bodyguard to release him. Kevin lay on the ground, a pathetic, soaking wet heap, all traces of his former feigned vulnerability gone. I'm sorry, he whimpered. I know I was wrong. Please let me go. I'll never do it again. This time he truly meant it. The White sisters were devils, far beyond his ability to control or manipulate. No matter what he did, He could never replace me in their hearts. He had been so close to taking my place as the center of their world. He just didn't understand. I was married with another woman. Why couldn't they just let me go? Why couldn't they just look at him? Apologizing to us is useless, Bianca said, her voice devoid of emotion. The person you need to apologize to is Ethan. There was no pity in her eyes. She had the bodyguards haul Kevin to his feet, and she and Bella headed for the Grandview Estates. But when they arrived, my cozy new house was dark. If they hadn't known for a fact that I lived there, they would have assumed it was empty. Bianca and Bella exchanged a nervous glance. Had something happened to me? They couldn't bear the thought, but a fierce hatred for Chloe burned within them. Why hadn't she protected me? Forgetting all about Kevin, they both said at the same time, "Let's split up and look for him." They had no idea where I could be, so they immediately started making calls, trying to track me down. But before they could leave, I posted a new video to my Facebook page. The caption was a single word, honeymoon. For a moment, neither of them had the courage to watch it. Their hands clenched around their phones, their knuckles white. After a long moment, they finally pressed play. In the video, I was smiling, holding hands with Chloe as we walked along a white sand beach. The sea breeze ruffled our hair. The scene was idyllic, impossibly romantic. We weren't doing anything particularly intimate, but there was an undeniable connection between us, a world that no one else could enter. Damn it! Bianca was so enraged she threw her phone against the wall, shattering it, but even that didn't quell her fury. Bella was just as furious. Her fists were clenched so tight her nails dug into her palms. She looked at Kevin, her eyes dark. "Since we can't apologize to Ethan in person, you'll apologize to the entire world. He'll see the news eventually." With that, she took out her phone and started a live broadcast. Within moments, thousands of viewers had joined. It was, after all, Bella White's first ever live stream. Her fans were in a frenzy. "Talk," Bella commanded, her voice cold. "Apologize to Ethan." It was a threat. Bianca nodded in silent agreement. Kevin, lying on the floor in a puddle of despair, looked up, his face streaked with tears. "If I apologize," he choked out, "will you let me go? I swear I'll disappear. I'll never bother you again." Bella's expression was frigid. "Don't worry. Once you've atoned for your sins, we have a special place for you." Hearing this, Kevin clung to the sliver of hope. He confessed to everything. He couldn't take the torment anymore. He just wanted to live. At first, the viewers online expressed sympathy for his battered appearance. But as he confessed to his crimes, the tide of public opinion turned violently against him. In an instant, Kevin Carter was the #1 trending topic on Twitter. I saw the news alerts on my phone. Watching the videos, I frowned. "What's wrong?" Chloe asked, handing me a coconut with a straw in it. She had seen the look on my face. When she saw what I was watching, her expression tensed. "Will you forgive them?" she asked, her voice tight with an emotion I couldn't quite place. She sounded nervous. I turned and took her hand, lacing my fingers through hers. "Don't worry. I'll never forgive them for what they did to me. But I think they're the ones who should be apologizing, not just Kevin. They're the ones who enabled him, who let his schemes get out of hand. They're the ones who truly hurt me. But none of that matters anymore. I just don't want to be a part of this public spectacle. Public opinion is so fickle. I have no interest in being the subject of online gossip." Chloe wrapped her arms around my neck and pulled me close. "Don't worry," she said. "I'll handle it. They won't bother you again." I looked at her determined profile and smiled. "Just how powerful are you, anyway? You'll just have to wait and find out," she said, her eyes sparkling with a gentle, teasing light. The cool reserve in her eyes melted away. True to her word, within hours, a new, juicier scandal broke, and the story about me and the White sisters was all but forgotten. Bianca and Bella both received a discreet but firm warning. Do nothing that could possibly tarnish the reputation of Miss Sterling's husband. Seeing the message, both their faces darkened with a mixture of anger and helplessness. Blair, in her training lockdown, saw the news as well. She knew it was Chloe's doing, but she did nothing. She just stared at the picture of my smiling face on her phone's lock screen, a familiar ache in her chest. It had been so long since she'd seen me. She had hoped that time and distance would dull the ache, but it only seemed to grow stronger. She had replayed our memories together in her mind 1,000 times. But she constantly reminded herself she couldn't see me. Bianca and Bella, however, were not ready to give up. They bought the villa next door to mine at the Grandview Estates and waited. Days later, I finally returned from my honeymoon. "Ethan," Bianca said, her voice hoarse, Her eyes were bloodshot, and she stared at me as if trying to memorize every line of my face. Bella looked just as exhausted, her face pale and drawn. It was our fault. Kevin and his mother have been dealt with. They're in jail now, getting what they deserve. We know we were wrong. Can we? I cut her off before she could finish. No, you should have apologized to me a long time ago. But I have no intention of forgiving you. For a moment, Bianca and Bella were speechless. They were truly sorry, but it was too late. They had never known how to handle me when I was truly determined. Ethan, do you really love her? Bianca asked, her voice trembling. Then what were we? That day at City Hall you were going to choose me, weren't you? That love letter, it was for me, wasn't it? She finally voiced the question that had been tormenting her. I'm telling you now, I'll marry you. I'll wait for you. Divorce her and come back to me. Please, don't give up on me. I answered without a moment's hesitation. The letter wasn't for you. I was never going to choose you. I don't want a backup plan. You're my sister, Bianca. That's all. Please stop this. I don't need you. And you, Bella, the same goes for you. I have a new life now. I'm falling in love with Chloe. You all need to move on. Chloe shot them a final, warning glare, then turned to me, her expression softening. Ethan, it's too noisy here. Let's find another house, shall we? Okay, I said, my voice gentle. Whatever you want. I agreed without hesitation. The truth was, the neighborhood was perfectly quiet and safe. The only disturbance was them. They watched us go, their faces etched with despair. Just a sister? In over 20 years, the thought had never once crossed their minds. From the moment they first saw me, they had seen me as their future husband. How could they accept this? Hadn't they apologized? Why wasn't it enough? Bianca and Bella were the very picture of desolation. Back in her new, empty house, Bianca started writing apology letters, just like she used to when we were children and she had made me angry. She wrote enough to fill a box and sent them to our new address, but they were all returned, unopened. Bella bought a small cafe near the Sterling Corporation headquarters and became its manager, just so she could catch a glimpse of me when I came to meet Chloe. I refused to see her, so this was the only way she could watch me from a distance. One day, I stopped by the cafe and, as I often did, ordered a slice of cake and sat down to enjoy it. The cake tasted exactly like the kind Bella used to make. I always had that thought whenever I came here, but then I would shake my head and smile. It was impossible. If Bella White were actually here, the place would be mobbed with fans. After finishing my cake, I checked the time and left to meet Chloe, accidentally leaving a medical report on the table. Long after I had gone, Bella slowly emerged from the back room. She picked up the report, and as she read it, her heart turned to stone. Chloe was pregnant. She gave a bitter, broken smile. She had always held on to the hope that one day, Chloe and I would separate, that one day, I would forgive her. Now, that hope was gone forever. I ran upstairs to find Chloe, unable to contain my joy. I wrapped my arms around her from behind. Chloe, I got the results. We're having a baby. Chloe's face lit up with a joy that mirrored my own. She turned in my arms, hugged me tightly, and kissed my forehead. Ethan, I love you. We held each other in a tight embrace. Just then, from a shadowy corner of the office, Blair emerged, holding a new championship trophy. Her heart was a knot of bitter sorrow. She had come straight from the tournament, wanting to be the first to tell me her good news, only to be met with this. But she had expected this, hadn't she? A wave of bitterness washed over her, but she forced it down. She placed the trophy on Chloe's desk. Ethan, congratulations, she said, her voice tight. Consider this a gift for the baby. My coach is waiting. I have to go. With that, she fled. She went back to the training facility and threw herself into her game, playing with a frantic, desperate energy. Hours later, she finally slumped back in her chair, exhausted. 2 silent tears traced paths down her cheeks. It's time to give up, Blair. It's time to give up, Bianca, Bella. She whispered to herself. After that day, she officially retired from professional gaming. She joined the family business, becoming a direct rival to Bianca, and in doing so, created a new battle that would keep them both too busy to think about me.